Welcome back to the next episode of our hunting trips all around the world. Today, episode 11 for hunting in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is most famous for hunting big game. We also have a number of plains game antelopes here, but the real target of most of the hunters in Zimbabwe is really the big game. In Zimbabwe, you can hunt all of the big four, so that means leopard, lion, elephant, and buffalo. But you can also hunt other big game like here the hippos or also the crocodile. The only big game you cannot hunt in Zimbabwe from the big five is the rhino, which we can only hunt in South Africa. So the accommodation in Zimbabwe is mainly in lodges, which are on the ground of the hunting area or really close by. As you can see on the left side with the fireplace, with a pool and so on. Some of the areas also have these safari tents, as you can see here, but these are really big spacey tents then with a built-in shower and a toilet and everything, so that you also don't miss any luxury even in the tents. For the hunting, we normally start with our pickup trucks, and these are really the typical hunting vehicles in the whole of southern part of Africa. And normally we then drive into the area, and if we go for like leopard or lion, which we are hunting on the baits, normally we drive to the baits, we're sitting there, parking the car far behind the baits so that we can really sit there, wait for the animals to come in. If we go for other species like elephant or buffalo, then we are hunting on foot on the track so that we really drive around with a car looking for a fresh track. If we see a fresh track of an elephant or a buffalo, depending on what we are hunting, the pH will check if this track belongs to a possible good trophy, and then if yes, we would follow it. So this is also an example of the area here in Decca, which is close to the Victoria Falls. As you can see here, quite a lot of trees. This was in November time frame, so very dry. Just before the rainy season. That's why you see very gray and brown colors here. But you can also see in this area there are quite some elephants. So this is now a younger group, but we also have seen quite big ones. This is another area also in Matetse, which is also close to the Victoria Falls. But here you also see still a brown area, but also still a lot of green stuff. And this is where really also the elephants then walk through, because these are the last places where they really find green leaves, which they can then eat. So, and then you also find the big buffalo herd. So this was a herd which had about 800 buffaloes, what we have counted. And I mean, for sure, we will not have counted everyone, so it might be even bigger. These are the things which is really nice to see, but as a hunter, it's quite hard to get one there. Because as you can see here, I mean, it's a really mix from young calves, female, you also see some bulls. But even if you find now a really big bull in this herd, to get to it, to really get it shot, it's quite impossible, because there's always someone standing behind them. And you can only shoot if you have really free sight so that there's nothing else what will be hit. So that's why the ideal state for a buffalo hunt is really to find a lonely or a small group of Daga boys, which are really then good and old ones, which normally stay outside the herd. And then you have 3-4 Daga boys, which you go to, and then you really can do a proper shot. But let's look at how really the buffalo hunting and elephant hunting, for example, would be exactly the same approach. But now let's look at the buffalo hunting. So in the morning, we drive around, we find a fresh track of a buffalo. And then you can see here a comparison with a 375 Holland and Holland, so that you see a little bit the size of the track. And based on this track, the pH can tell you if it's all the young, big or small buffalo. If it's the right one, then you really follow the track until you reach the buffaloes. Yeah, and this is then, first you have seen it was really in sand. So if you have sand ground, then everybody can see the tracks. But here already on the street, it gets a little bit more difficult because with all the leaves. But later when it goes left or right into the thick bush, then it's quite hard for someone who is not experienced with the tracks to really follow them. But that's why we have our PHs and also the trackers who can really find the tracks even in this thick bush, and even sometimes on stone. They can tell you, hey, here was a buffalo, here was a lion, here was something else. And so you really follow the tracks until in the end, you reach the buffalo herd, and then you can sneak in and check if there's something which will fit your category or not. What is important, as always is hunting, you need to make sure that the wind is in the right direction. Like in this case, wind is coming from the front, so everything is perfect. We've covered from the bushes, so we can get really, really close to the buffaloes. Then you check the herd with your binoculars to see if there's a buffalo bull in it, which would fit your category. If yes, then you try to get closer to it to shoot it. I mean, here, for example, we could not be able to shoot because everybody's standing behind each other. So there's a big chance that we hit more than one. That's why you then follow slowly the herd. And then if you're lucky, like we were here, when there's an open area and they had to jump over the street, so we could just wait. And as soon as the buffalo bull came out, which we wanted to go for, we could pull the trigger and then in the end shot the buffalo. Yeah, and then you can be lucky if you get a good buffalo. And you see here, this is what we were then targeting for. So it's like a 40-inch buffalo, which was quite okay for our hunting here. What is important, like in all over Africa, this buffalo will be completely consumed. That means the trophy and the skin goes to the hunter, but also all the meat and even the stomach and the stuff inside is really used by the people. So this one is then completely consumed, so that the meat goes to the lodges, goes to the local communities, and also like in Zimbabwe, with nearly a lot of the money you spend here on the hunting, if it's elephant or buffalo, most of the money or a big amount of money goes really to the national parks, what they then use again to really do nature conservation. They pay their game wards to protect the animals, anti-poaching units, and so on. So it's really here working national conservation and also hunting really hand in hand to protect the game and to protect the people. Yeah, besides hunting, of course, you can also do a lot of other things in Zimbabwe. One of the most famous things which you definitely should visit and plan one day to visit when you're close to the Victoria Falls. So like if you're hunting Deka, Matezi, or Wengi National Park, then you can go really to the Victoria Falls. You see here, these two pictures is from November when there's really low water. On the left side, you see the Victoria Falls from the helicopter when there's much more water. And it's really amazing scenery, what you can see here on the Victoria Falls. Yeah, with this, I'm done with my presentation on Zimbabwe. As I said, beside the big game we just talked, there's also a lot of plains game and warthog you can hunt, but normally you do this then in combination with the big game, so like hunting also waterbuck, sable, and so on. But if you want to go plains game only, then you have Namibia and South Africa as better places. If you want to go big game first and then combine it with plains game, then Zimbabwe is really the place to go.